Hello everyone, welcome to Dnyanadeep. In this session on UPSC Simplified, we are going to discuss yet another question from PYQs, that is on geography. Now the question reads, major hot deserts of the northern hemisphere are located between 20 degree to 30 degree north and on the western side of the continents. So there are two parts in this particular question. If you can see, it is asking about the location of major deserts in the northern hemisphere. Okay. So one location is 20 to 30 degree north and another location is western sides of the continent. So directly question is asking about the desert. Indirectly, if you see, question is also asking about the formation of the desert. Fine. So there are some implicit things, some hidden things which you always need to find about the given question. Now, if we talk about the locus and focus of the question, the locus of the question is desert, right? We are supposed to discuss everything about desert, and if we focus on the question, one focus is location of the desert, right? Which is direct. But the implicit one or the indirect one would be the formation of desert. So both of the parts needs to be highlighted or needs to be addressed. Now it is obvious that every one of you will highlight the location part, but indirectly or directly also try to highlight the formation part of the desert. Now, as we have introduced the question, let us move on to how can we write on this particular part. Now, in introduction, I have given you three approaches. There can be three variations, or there can be many variations. These are the three variations I could come up with, right? So, some of you might write about the formation of desert in simple words, right? In that, you may be saying that there is a very little precipitation, and as there is little precipitation because of certain conditions, whatever conditions you mention, I'll tell you under what condition deserts are formed. And the result of this would be formation of desert. This can be your introduction. Fine. Another example based introduction can be given. You can mention a few deserts in the northern hemisphere. You see, so and so are the deserts. Let's take example of Sahara Desert, California Desert, Thar Desert. All these appear to be locating on the 20 to 30 degree north and western sides of the continents, and here are the reasons why these are located on this particular location. So this can also be one introduction, right? First introduction can be based on formation, another introduction can be based on example, right? And third can be based on defining desert, right? Now most of you may or may not be aware of, whenever it comes to defining deserts, there is a very simple term about desert. Deserts are the places where precipitation exceeds sorry, deserts are the places where there is evaporation which is exceeding precipitation. Those places we call them as desert. So these are the three approaches. Now all of these, because question is a little what we can say, it does not have much of a content, or it does not have much of a scope to write a good introduction or a detailed introduction, and that is why there would not be any crisp introduction in this particular case. Now, if I have to choose between these three, I would prefer the example-based introduction, because time and again I am telling you, obvious introductions or obvious things you are not supposed to mention in the introduction itself, right? Or nowhere in the answer you should be mentioning obvious things. So here defining desert would be a sort of a obvious thing, right? So avoid that particular part. Formation of desert, we will not reveal at this point of time directly in the introduction. We are not going to reveal the formation of desert. Fine. Now, understand what we are going to do here. We will put examples of desert. Okay. So now see, when we are talking about the examples, we have linked this question directly with to the we have linked introduction directly with that of the question, right? And that should be the approach. Ideal approach will always be this. So moving to next part. In body part, I have divided this particular question in two things. First part would be regarding the explanation on formation of desert. See, you are not supposed to explain in details. बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल में यहाँ पे आपको explanation नहीं provide करनी है. Actually अगर आप इस question को देखें, I guess in 2013 or so this question was asked, and this question was for barely 5 marks, right? But not always it will be asked for 5 marks. It can also be it can vary depending upon the question paper. So it may be asked for 5 marks or even 15 marks. So depending on that particular part, I will explain the formation of desert. If it is for 5 marks, I would be explaining formation of desert maybe in 10 words or so. You see, there are conditions where there is no precipitation, and usually these conditions are high pressure on any given surface, which leads to compression of air and ultimately no precipitation. So that can be one explanation for the formation of desert. Keep it simple, keep it short. For this particular question, let's say if I am writing it in 150 words, I would not spend more than 20 words or 25 words for the formation of desert, right? Mention it very crisp and clear. Now later part is about the location of desert. Now what we are supposed to talk, or what we had to focus on, we had to focus on why these are located at 20 to 30 and on the western side of the continent. Okay, so when it comes to the western side of the continent, we will have some other reasons. For 20 to 30 degree, we will have some other reasons. Understand those reasons. So what I am saying, there would be subtropical high pressure belt which is located at around 20 to 30 degree north, or be it south, but here we will say 20 to 30 degree north. Now as there is subtropical high pressure belt, what it will result into? It will result into compression of air, and compression of air would mean dry conditions. So that is basic, which you are anyway going to highlight in this particular. Move on to next point. You also have to explain this particular point. What is this particular point? Conditions which prevail during summer. You will have to say, see, across the globe during summer it rains, but when it comes to the 20 to 30 degree north region, over be it in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere, you will tell, or you will write that in this particular point or this particular part, even during summer it does not rain. Why it does not rain? Because there is a subtropical high pressure condition. So that is something you have to mention in the 20 to 30 degree part, and that is why we have major hot desert located at 20 to 30 degree. Now there is second part of the question, कि why these are located on the western margins. ठीक है, western margin के लिए सबसे पहले you will have to write shifting of pressure belt. You will say that during winters there is shifting of pressure belts from this subtropical high region or the 20 to 30 degree particular part. Fine, but even if there is shifting of pressure belt, you will write next that there are cold currents which are on the western margins, right? Understand the flow, right? Don't directly write कि there are cold currents on the western parts of the continent. First tell that there is shifting of pressure belt and good enough conditions for rain, right? And that is why in the eastern part of the continent it is raining also. Fine, but why it is not raining on the western part? Because western parts are located by the cold currents. These cold currents will again result into high pressure. High pressure would again mean no precipitation, and that is how you are addressing both of the parts. First you have addressed why it is located only 20 to 30 degrees north, and in second part you have addressed why it is located on the western margins of the continent. Fine, so you have explained it enough. Okay, so what is next? What you are likely to write next is the map. Draw a map. On the map, mention all the desert. Mention there is California desert, there is Sahara desert, Thar desert, let's say Atacama, Namibia, Kalahari, Great Sandy Desert. Okay, so you have identified the desert. Show that there is a high pressure belt. Okay, you will have to show, you see, these are the high pressure belts. Also show cold currents on these particular regions or these particular margins. See, there are cold currents, and the result of cold current is what? During winter, there will be no precipitation, right? During summer, because of high pressure belt, there is no precipitation. During winter, because of cold currents, there is no precipitation. That is how on the western margins of the continent, desert formation is taking place. So that is something you are supposed to write in map. Now, conclusion is a little tricky because these type of questions, they do not have enough content to conclude properly. But what I generally prefer, now I will connect physical geography with human geography. What I will say, see, in this particular part, 20 to 30 degree north parts, there are deserts, and desert bring so and so human life conditions. Whatever human life aspect you can write or human geography aspect you can write, you should write in this particular section. There could be another way. A good number of people would now go forward to climate change, global warming, desertification. That can also be an introduction, because time and again I am telling you that in this particular question, there is no proper conclusion. There is not enough content to conclude it properly. So either conclude with human geography aspect or conclude with climate change, or you can be innovative also and suggest something for the desert life, some solutions for the desert life. Maybe it is water conservation, maybe it is regarding vegetation, development or growth of vegetation, so on and so forth. So this would be largely open-ended conclusion. So with this, we complete one more question on which we have discussed regarding the location of desert on the 20-30 degrees north and western margins of the continent. So we'll continue this UPSC simplified series this way. So we'll see you again in next session. Till then, keep watching.